Hey guys, welcome to the second episode of Season 2 of the Melee Stats podcast, starring me, SaveAsUntitled.
Me, Edwin Budding.
Me, Ambi Sinister.
Me, KB.
Yeah, so the lead topic for this week, we've already did all our housekeeping last week, so we can just jump right into it, of Summit 7. Is there any particular place you guys want to start, or do you just want to talk about Hungrybox being #1 in the world and everyone feeling a little bit sad about it?
I think Kay probably has a good place.
Is there any particular? Yeah, well, it's wherever you guys want to go with this. Anyone want to take the lead, take the bait?
So I don't have any Reynolds rap with me because I'm actually not at my house. But I just want to say a couple of housekeeping things first. Fuck you.
Whoa!
I was right. In case you guys didn't know, like half a year ago, this motherfucker didn't disagree with me. Didn't just slightly. Oh no, you might be a little wrong. You know, kind of like just disagree with your opinion, okay? No, it was be like, no, it had to be like, put on the fucking tinfoil hat and just, you are so crazy in thinking there's no universe, there's no conceivable reality where Plup loses to Amsa. And you know what happened this weekend?
That's not what I said.
You know what happened?
I would be really stupid if I said that, considering when I said that, he had already lost the club before the last set they played. What I said was that he was not favored, and I still ate shit. I will say this, I ate shit, but it's part of the cycle of eating shit, because where I ate shit with your prediction, Edwin ate shit.
No, come on, dude. Your reasoning was so bad, dude, on the bananas.
I don't want to hear it. You ate shit. Fuck.
You're literally deflecting.
Bananas destroyed him.
Bananas
almost went 3-0 groups.
You've been building up the shit sandwich for like half a year now. Now you gotta eat it.
All
this feels so good.
Like, I'm dying on that hill, dude.
This feels so good, not getting shit.
Just to recap, what exactly did you say? What was your defense of MPK? Because I'm actually curious.
I just said I don't.
It was some dumb shit.
I still don't think if they play again, I'm betting on Mutaking.
Why?
You're actually.
Why?
I'm dying on this hill.
I don't understand.
Why?
You could have watched that set.
Don't understand.
I guess
dude,
clearly
the Melee authors stick together, I guess.
Dude, I love Mutaking. I love
Dude,
Mutaking.
first off, I just have to say, that set by Bananas may be like people always meme about like 2007 Mutaking and stuff, but I actually think you could put like 2007 like Korean DJ against this Bananas, and he would do better than Mutaking did in that set.
You probably could have put Baby Mango against Bananas.
That was
Mango's Puff probably could have done better against Bananas.
Mutaking was part of 5 of the funniest sets of the tournament. The first one, Mutaking versus Banana. The second one, Mutaking versus Axe. The third one, Mutaking versus Wizrobe. And then the other 2 sets which just make no sense when and put parallel to these sets, Mutaking versus Amsa and Mutaking versus KJH. It just
yeah, that was a rough set. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Just a nonsensical performance by Mutaking.
Now, well, okay, what was the Mutaking Amsa game like? I missed that.
He kind of got
destroyed him.
rocked.
Like how bad was it? So it wasn't like close one stocks?
No, it was not close.
No, it was like games where Mutaking had the lead and just did not give up or give in. He just stood in place.
I think I have Amsa to blame for why Mutaking didn't end up going Puff against Axe then. I'm pretty confident about his Sheik then. I actually thought the Mutaking Axe set was disappointing because we didn't see his Puff.
I don't know, dude.
I was kind of hoping for it too.
We talk too much about Mewtwo Puff. Let's not like.
We don't talk enough about Mewtwo Puff.
Dude, this guy got 9th at the
prophecy
tournament.
of saving Melee from HBox's counterpick shenanigans in the future.
Okay, so just kind of to pivot the topic on something that's not a guy who got like 9th place at this tournament. The person who beat him, Bananas, him versus Army is sort of becoming a real conversation. I think right now in the the minds of a lot of people watching Melee. What do you guys think? Like, obviously the differences between their play are distinct, but how would you compare their results this year and where they end up?
I think it's kind of interesting because I think a lot of people would kind of like immediately kind of side with Bananas after this weekend. But if you kind of relate a lot of the data between them, I actually think they're very similar. And most of the difference between them is kind of based on exposure, where Army kind of has a bit more suspect. Actually, maybe not even more suspect losses, because Bananas has some pretty sus losses too. But Army has just like been to a lot more locals, been to a lot more tournaments than Bananas in comparison. So he has a lot of data that we can like say, oh, he's done this, he's done that, and he has pretty similar accomplishments to Bananas. He just hasn't faced M2K yet, which we cannot wait to see.
Yeah, like I think Army is like just out off a feel. I don't know like the results for both of them off the top of my head. I'll know it in a couple of weeks when we're looking at rankings. But I feel like Army's probably the better player, but Bananas will be ranked higher for the year if I had to take a guess.
This kind of reminds me of Nintendo BizKid when they were both active, like kind of like a comparison between those two that was always made because they had pretty similar accomplishments. But this time, like, they really have different play styles between Army and Bananas.
And I think it's kind of funny that you mentioned the play styles. I think they have really different matchup spreads too, which is really, really interesting to watch. I feel like it's even difficult to compare them like player to player, because I think that like the way that they perform against specific players is so different, right? And like, you know, I definitely think that I don't know if I think Army could have made this run that Bananas did, like at least not all in a row.
And especially not as convincingly.
Yeah, but I do think that he could have gotten ninth at this tournament with a different bracket. You know, like it's kind of precarious. It's really interesting because I think that they're both like around a similar level. And it's like it's who they're playing being different is the thing that makes them different, which is really interesting. Very difficult to compare.
It's just so weird just seeing like Mango lose to Bananas and then like winding back like a week or two before and seeing him lose to Squid. It's so surreal to me.
That's the Ice Climber's life, dude.
Yeah.
We talk about it all the time on this podcast.
Literally random.
And we brought this up last week, and I want to bring it again. But like this kind of the way of the Ice Climbers, like when they beat someone like King or they beat someone like Mango, we just kind of accept it as a possibility in the back of their mind if they've crossed a certain threshold, right? Like Ambi, even you kind of jokingly mentioned this last week, but like, oh, you know, if Amsa beat Hungrybox and Bananas beat Mango and Mutikit. All right.
Ambi's never made a joke on this podcast. Come on, Edwin. 100% serious all the time.
But like Ambi did mention the possibility, and we all kind of just like accepted it as an innate. Oh, like yeah, Bananas could do that. So in a sense, like it doesn't really change our perception of his ceiling. It's just kind of a thing that happened that we're rewarding based on it existing in reality. You know.
It's another Ices. Hopefully people won't.
Bananas for being the new Chudat, aka the new Waffle.
I like this universe where Bananas is that guy instead of Chew, to be honest with you. So I'm okay with this reality.
Chudat, the hottest hand in Melee.
Yeah.
It's still true, even with Bananas.
I will say, if Bananas had defeated Leffen after that reverse 4-stock comeback, it would have been a little under 2 months where Bananas would have beaten Hugs, Fiction, Plup, IBDW, Mutaking, Mango, and Leffen.
It's such a weird list.
Yeah, I was about to say. I thought you were just gonna name the top thing. IBDW.
Like, two of the players you mentioned are non-gods that struggle with Ice Climbers, right?
Yeah, but I mentioned Fiction.
Like, when's the last time
Hugs
beat an Ice Climber?
I don't know. It's a good win. Like Bananas, we considered him what, like top 35 or top 30-ish before.
No, I just like that. No, that wasn't even what got me. It's just that you went from Mutaking to IBDW, and I was like, what?
Oh, no,
probably just as good at the Ices matchup.
It's still good players.
Oh, that's true.
IBDW probably better than Mutaking.
Yeah. Oh boy. Do you want to talk about Leffen's performance? Him like losing that weird set to Wizrobe and then just bouncing back 3-0 the next time they met?
Well, I don't. Well, okay. Here's that set was a little unusual because I thought Leffen was playing fine at first, but once like Wizzy started like destroying him, like Leffen started playing really noticeably worse. So
it was a really weird set. It really like I don't really like saying this because I think that it typically minimizes a lot of the effort that the other player does, but I really just think Leffen threw like really hard. Like he just like didn't edge guard him ever. Like
that Fountain game was like okay, like I love Wizrobe and I was rooting for Wizrobe over Leffen, and maybe this is a terrible qualification for what I'm about to say, but that Fountain game was almost embarrassing to watch. It almost reminded me of Lovage Leffen.
Dude, he just shielded in the corner and either shield grabbed Leffen or rolled towards center.
I think there was one moment where he just stood in the same place, turning around like for 2 seconds.
The wallet.
I don't know if there's much to really take away from Leffen at this point.
I mean, like,
that's
sort of like the Wizrobe effect, though. Like, if you're not playing well, Wizrobe's going to capitalize on the fact that he can hit you.
Agreed.
Wizrobe was playing pretty well. I think there have been some tournaments where his stamina kind of runs out by the end. But at this tournament,
he needs to eat more nuts, dude.
Yeah, he needs to eat more nuts. I think the most interesting thing that you could talk about Leffen is probably his sets against Mango. But I think that's more of like a story for Mango's side than Leffen's.
Can we dial this back a little bit to Wizrobe though?
Sure.
I think that Wizrobe was really interesting this tournament, probably more so than Leffen was. Like Leffen didn't do so hot in pools, but once he got in a bracket, he was fine, other than losing to Mango, I guess. But like his set against Wizrobe in an actual bracket was like very dominant, obviously. But Wizrobe was really interesting because his set versus King I want to briefly talk about because that was not close.
They destroyed him.
Do I want to talk about it?
Like,
it kind of reminded me of that Momocon set in Losers where King went Pichu in the last game, got 4-stock. Except this time he went Marth and got 4-stock.
Was it like 8 stocks in 3 games? It's like 3-1-4 or something. It was rough. Like, he got rocked. That's a lot weirder because like I watched that set and I was like, holy moly, Wizrobe is so good.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe that's just me not knowing the edge guard stuff like I do versus like Falcon, but
if you've seen like MTK plays friendlies like against Falcons with his Marth before, like he's played S2J in friendlies before, and it looks fine.
He's played like
it wasn't like he was bad at the matchup.
He's played like Wizrobe on stream a lot with a multitude of different characters. I really think it's just sometimes that happens. Like Wizrobe was playing very good, King was not.
I mean, to be fair, I do think like MPK teched in place, and maybe he knows something that I don't against Wizrobe, but those usually got him to like perfect setups into getting up there in a need. So I don't think his heart was into it. Like in the entirety of the set, straight from the beginning, King was already in this position, like all slouched back in the chair, and and like cross legs, and that he's probably gonna lose this set when he's just like that.
Yeah, I don't know. Not a good performance for King. But
it's so weird looking at the 9th place spot. We have King, Bananas, Plup, and SFAT. That's just such a weird mix, and especially the different roads that got them there. That's weird. This is a weird tournament.
In SFAT's case, all roads lead to Zane for 9th place.
Yeah,
that's so sad.
My favorite constants at every major, just watching Zane defeat SFAT.
Zane to SFAT is like at like Axe to Marths. It's just like as soon as you meet them in bracket, it just is all going downhill real fast.
I was feeling so good about Zane, and then I saw Axe in this bracket and was like, oh.
Yeah.
That's it.
How do you guys feel about do you guys want to talk about like Swedish, or do you feel like there's not much to say there?
What is there to talk about Swedish?
He just
exactly
was not good in this tournament.
Oof.
Yeah, maybe not.
I haven't talked to him since his losers bracket match, but that was probably the worst I've seen him play in a really long time. I don't know what was up with him.
What about Shiz? Does anybody have anything to say about his set?
KJ set was really cool. Probably my favorite set of the tournament.
Yeah, that would be
That's a
up there for
crazy
me.
set. Sets like that is actually why I have a lot of faith for Melee in the future. Just like because a lot of people might say that that was their favorite set of the tournament, and it was like a pools match between two people who are like the lowish, relatively lowish seeds compared to everyone else, and I thought that was, and it wasn't even like for who would make it out in winners. It was just who would get the better seed, and it was such a sick set, and shit like that is why I'm looking forward to the future. I think that shit like that is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that just about.
I think that does it for.
Yeah.
For some.
So,
Mm-hmm.
there's one other.
I got blown
number
the fuck
one,
out by Kay. Edwin got blown out by me.
No one's giving me shit this week.
Yeah. He was right about $100 a wing.
Now, Ambi, I want to set you up to give someone else shit potentially. We're going to transition to talking about DreamHack, and I know there's one specific set that caught your eye. And
I don't really know which one you're talking about.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
you maybe specify.
Oh no.
The two Saints versus Sharkz.
Tuesday versus Sharkz. Wait, can we bring up how that set ended? Can we like bring that up on stream? Just
Is that
the
the strangest controller throw you've ever seen in your life?
It's so
it was really funny
half-assed.
because like it definitely is like the controller throw of someone that really cares about their controller.
Don't break.
He angrily stood up and then he like softly tossed it onto the table, like just a few inches away from where he was standing, so that it would just like be out of his hand but like not fall violently on the ground. It's a great pop off.
Have you guys never done that before? I feel like really weirded out that I'm just like the only one that was like, huh, yeah, that feels normal.
Do you mean like
it's just funny,
like wanting to throw your like?
No, yeah, I get gimped off the top by a Falco on Yoshi's, and I just go like, and then just
I think he uses both hands also. Am I just misremembering that?
He's like an ultra masher, so he's
Yeah, no, it's both hands. Yeah, he just kind of whoop.
The worst DI.
It's funny.
Yeah.
But I do want to talk about this a little bit because Saint said something really interesting on Twitter.
Very interesting. Yep.
He said that he is going to become a TO and TO a regional with Wobbling banned because he wants Wobbling to be banned. And I think that's really amazing. So I want to give a special shout out to my good friend Jack Silla. I don't know if you're listening to this, but he is a patron of our podcast. Very important to the livelihood of this podcast. But I do want to briefly mention Jack because Jack did something that a lot of people wanted, but a lot of people also really didn't want, which was a conversation about banning wobbling. And it got him many an angry message. And I just want to talk about this Saint thing, because something that I heard a lot from this wobbling discussion over at rival podcast Save Melee is that ice climbers and wobbling is bad for the game, and people, the game will die if wobbling remains legal. Mm-hmm. And I think that with Saint making this tweet, we've definitively disproved that, because now we know that wobbling makes people TOs. and like there's this idea that banning wobbling will split the community. But I think that's wrong, and I think that Saint is the perfect example of this, because Saint won't split the community. Saint is a new person in the community, like from the side of the TOs. So he's not splitting the community. He's expanding the community, and all the people that will be attending wobbling ban tournaments with that are created from wobbling legal tournaments, which people get so pissed off at. That's an entirely separate new player base that we haven't seen before, is people that refuse to play Melee because wobbling is banned. So the community will be split. We'll be playing two different games basically. But it'll be twice the size.
I didn't make a second channel.
The more people play, the more wobbling legal tournaments there are, the more TOs we'll get. And it's like a cycle because everyone's like, oh, I'll just play the normal version without all the rules. And
It'll
then they
be so
play,
sick.
and they get really good. And then they get wobbled, and they're like, this is bullshit. I'm becoming a TO. I'm turning to the dark side. I'm going to Melee 2.
You know, it's gonna be so sick. Tri-State New York, we're gonna have a major again. Replace Apex, wobbling man. It'll be amazing.
Dude, as the guy
Tuesday
on
is
this
my
panel,
hero.
as the guy on this panel who literally wrote why wobbling should be banned, I'm in like so many layers of irony in this thoughtful analysis by Ambi that it's just like gone around full circle. And
Freak, eat your heart out.
yeah.
Think about how many regions don't have enough TOs. They don't have enough TOs. Nobody wants to step forward. Everyone just plays net play. Just make your tournaments wobbling legal. And
Please
wait for some high school kid to come along and win all your locals until someone gets so sick that they
Please
become
send
a
all
TO.
your wobblers to Korea. We are in dire need of new player base and new supporters. I need help. Please and thank you.
Oh my god.
So I can't wait for the community to double in size. All I'm saying.
All right.
So do we want to talk about the guy who won the tournament, AbsentPage, that we don't talk about enough on this podcast?
Yeah, I guess now's a good time as ever. Shout out to Etost, one of our patrons who bought a compendium goal for a podcast topic. So the topic that we're choosing to talk about right now is AbsentPage. Not just at this tournament, but AbsentPage just as a whole. So first off, I need to admit something. And that's that in preparation for this podcast, I was watching DreamHack Atlanta Top 8 because I wanted to catch up on what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And during winners finals of AbsentPage versus S2J, I fell asleep in the middle of the match.
It's a fair response.
And I woke up, and it was on like a playlist or something, right? And I caught like a glimpse of the last game of grand finals, and AbsentPage had won the tournament, and I felt happy. It went exactly the way I thought. And that's what I have to say about him at DreamHack Atlanta.
He's up 4-1 on S2J. Oh yeah, go ahead, Ambi.
I think that DreamHack Atlanta was probably the least surprising top 8 of all time. I think some of the matches to get to top 8 were pretty exciting.
I thought
that,
top 32 was interesting.
Oh, you mean like once we got the top 8, like the matchups within it?
No, like leading up to top 8. Like the matches in top 8 were really boring. Like I remember Sharkz beat Hacks, which is really funny. Bobby beat Kobo.
Yeah.
Sharkz
Bobby
beat
and
Bobby,
Hacks beat
which is also funny because apparently, I got the deets from Stock Money. Apparently, Sharkz is just terrible at that matchup. And he was like, dude, I really hope that Bobby doesn't beat Kobo because I want my dog, Sharkz, to make top 8. And then Bobby beat Kobo. Stock was like, no, he's gonna lose. He's never beaten a Falco in his life. And then he won, which is hilarious. What else funny happened? Forrest, King, he beat King Momo, Mr. LZ, whatever
Mr. LZ.
I agree.
Let's see.
Okay, never mind. Another time.
Your
Axe also beat Kobo.
K-Pan was sending losers pretty early. I remember that. And so was a rookie. That was expected though.
So it was a pretty interesting top 32. But like then we get into top 32 and like literally the only thing that's remotely surprising is I guess Sharkz and Toussaint would probably be pretty interesting. Other than that, not really. Like everything was like, oh yeah, GW beat Sharkz. SCJ beat up on Ice Climbers. The page beat SCJ again and again.
Yeah.
Not really much to say about the tournament in general. Yeah. Very boring.
But did we want to talk more a bit about AbsentPage because it is one of the
we
we kind of were just like 2 seconds on him.
Yeah, we didn't go on a tangent.
kind of just
Right.
the feel where everyone thinks. Do you think AbsentPage is going to be in the top 20, or do you think there's other people who are going to push him out, like say Army and Bananas, who may be pushing out? They might not be top 20 either, but do you think, because he was 22 in the summer, I believe, right?
Yeah.
So he's right on the cusp. Do you think he's going to be able to push, or is there too many people also coming up that are going to block his way?
I don't think he's not gonna pass Army, but I think
He's not gonna pass Army.
Yeah.
But Bananas is a little more interesting because Bananas is right now kind of the hottest rising star at the moment, at least in the perception of many. And AbsentPage has had a pretty good, like along with his very good big house, he had a strong script. And obviously he won this tournament as well. So I would say I think I have faith in the voters that they won't just go with recency bias, because I think he's trending like borderline top 20 or so. But if I were to view his year objectively, mid-20s sounds about right.
Yeah, because I'm looking at, just for the fact of like he's 22, he would need to jump 2 people to make it. I don't see 2 people above him that I could really see him jumping, like Lod, Duck, Nunn, West Balls. Like I don't think he's gonna jump any of these people.
He might. Do you think he might not jump West Balls? I think he might.
I don't know. It's
Oh,
Those
Wiz
Wizbro wins
I
help
think
a lot.
the Wizrobe wins, yeah, but I think the S2J wins. I mean,
yeah, they're
Wizrobe
not
is
that far
obviously,
off.
Yeah, they're not that far off.
Yeah.
I think
and
it'd be
keep
close.
in mind that we have a separate list, which is the Melee Stats ranking.
Yeah, I
which
think-
is a bit more
I was
recent
looking
than
at that right now.
the Melee Summer ranking. And I think that if I remember right, we didn't even have AbsentPage in top 25.
No,
this
Cobalt
summer.
was above him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that he probably has a shot of like cracking top 25, but I think that for him to be top 20 would be a bit of a jump, given that
Yeah, no, I don't think it'd be top 20.
mid to late 20s sounds really reasonable for him. You know, in my head he's really similar to Fiction. They're
yeah,
both
I agree
trending
with that.
upwards. I think they'll both be really good very soon.
Who do you think will be higher at the end of the year?
I think
It's a really
I'd have a
interesting
bit.
question.
I do think I'd have a bit more faith, or I'd place a bit more faith in AbsentPages, just because I think a lot of Fiction's results are based off of his local kind of pool, and in just rewarding people who travel out. That I would kind of favor AbsentPage a bit more. Just on
Yeah, I
a
think I'm on the same page as Kay
standpoint.
here.
Yep.
AbsentPage
For the whole year,
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Fiction was a lot of like returning to form this year, whereas AbsentPage started off pretty good.
Pretty strong, yeah.
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 I think Fiction probably has heading into 2019. I wouldn't be surprised, not just because they're head to head, but just because how I see both players. Like I think Fiction has a little bit of a higher ceiling, just based on sort of the way he's trending, like his local his good local records and everything, and his dominant head to head on AbsentPage. And it's not like he's only done well locally. Like he won the show me your moves. He won that he won Emerald City. Like it's not as if he's just beating up on Army or something in region. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Fiction
he's having
has
great
good-
results. It's just that they're more latter half of the year results for the most
Yeah,
part.
agreed.
Yeah, another thing I think it's curious you talk about like that Fiction ceiling is higher, and while I might agree with you, I always feel like I'm constantly, and I mean constantly, underestimating AbsentPage's ceiling. Like he's always like betraying my expectations and always does better than I expect him to. He always like, if he loses a matchup once, he'll always come back and win it. Like somehow, I don't understand.
Yeah,
like
I
he'll
think
learn
I have this
something.
theory that AbsentPage is like the VOD review master. Because I just feel like he has such a detailed, systematic, thought out, fleshed out, practiced game plan for every matchup. Like I kind of want to see like AbsentPage versus Bambi, that the youngling from New Jersey, because I'm very confident that would be really funny to watch. Because like I'm sure that AbsentPage has some like fucked up idea of how he wants to play that, where it's like very detailed. Like he has like specific combos labbed out. Like he's just like that type of player to me, where he like just looks up so many things and has every situation. He's like a little drug fox in my head, where he just has everything sort of drawn out what he wants to do. There's very little that like surprises me about the way that AbsentPage ever does anything. It's all very much like, yeah, I studied the situation. I know what to do. I'm good at the game. I have good work ethic.
Mhm.
He's not like a wild player.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty excited to see an AbsentPage versus Axe rematch again.
Yeah.
'cause- yeah.
Yeah.
'cause it was kind of like a close 3-0 or 3-1 that happened at Big House to qualify for
Summit.
Mhm.
But if any indication of like versus Duck versus Lot or versus pretty much anyone he's faced a second time, I think that actually might be a really interesting set, and the AbsentPage might be that new person that X has to watch out for.
I mean, how is AbsentPage versus Ice Climbers? Edwin, have you? I think you probably looked up a little bit.
I think he's hit or miss. I talked to Cool Line about it, or actually no, I think Cool Line spoke about it in the Discord. Like, AbsentPage is just really fast. Like he has a pretty good game plan, but just like messes up or doesn't, or will like find himself in situations that he's not like. I don't think it's not that he's not familiar in the situations. It's just sort of a thing that comes with experience in my mind. But he, like, if you watch him play the matchup, he does everything you're supposed to do. Like he splits up Nana really well. He edge guards her pretty strongly. Like he doesn't fall. He doesn't tend to like lose in the decision making parts. He just kind of, they're just like, I think the more nationals he goes to and the more ice climbers he plays, like he'll just be better at like what I like to call the scramble kind of situations where like you're playing at a range where both of you are just like guessing something, and if you guess right, you like kill Nana or something. And if you guess wrong, you just die. And it's very much like I don't know if I would use a direct comparison, but it reminds me of Moki as like another player with a similar game plan that's very good. Like he clearly studied in the matchup, but just sometimes it doesn't work out well. Like both young players, you know.
Is that specifically just for ice climbers, or?
No, just against ice climbers. I noticed that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to say because like he does have pretty inconsistent records. He is obviously beaten Sharkz here. He beat Bananas at Optic Arena.
And he has a set off army as well.
Yeah, but he also lost a Drunk Sloth at SmashCon. So
Drunk Sloth's a psycho dude. That guy is real. He's like I'm saying this. No, he loves this dude. This guy Drunk Sloth. You give someone enough years of like getting destroyed or playing against Cobalt and Region, like they're gonna pick up on some tricks against Fox, like ways to not like completely get run over.
Drunk Sloth is a basket case. If you've never watched a Drunk Sloth set, you're actually missing out.
Yeah, he's crazy.
He's just wild.
I got to play him in a tournament. It was really fun. He's nuts.
You see, the interesting thing with his record versus Ice Climbers is that besides his Sharkz versus AbsentPage, his set with Sharkz, that was kind of a bit of a wash in terms of just like game count. But against like Bananas and Drunk Sloth, those are both game 5 sets, and I think that's kind of a bit of a reflection about how generally like he is with Ice Climbers in general. Or I think it's just kind of a reflection of the matchup as well, just like. It's a bit inconsistent.
Yeah. This is slightly different, but can I tell a funny story about AbsentPage?
Sure.
It is a topic.
We'll do that and we'll wrap it up because I feel like we've talked about AbsentPage for a little bit. Close it off.
So, backstage, the Big House 8. I'm playing a bunch of people. There with the media pass, having a really fun time. I see AbsentPage sit on a setup next to me. And I don't get much experience against like really top level competitors, and I want to see how good this guy was. I got to play Fiction earlier in the day, which was pretty fun on its own, and learned a lot. But then I sit down next to AbsentPage and I go, hey, you're playing Zane next, right? And he just like nods his head. And I go like, can I play Marth against you for a bit? I'll like warm you up. And he just goes, sure. And we plug in. We play one game, and I managed to like win it or something because he's clearly like rusty. And he just goes, hold on just a second. He like takes a minute, takes off his jacket, like replugs his controller, like leans forward, presses start, and then just for the next hour I get repeatedly like 3 stock, 4 stock, 3 stock, 2 stock, 3 stock, 3 stock, 3 stock, just over and over again. I'm like getting so outplayed, like both in terms of like technique, like mentally. He's like, and one thing he started doing that I realized like midway through our games is, so the thing with like up throw up air, Ambi, as you could say in like the Fox matchup, like it's not like a legit thing. You have to guess the way that that the Marth is going to SDI before if you like really want to be legit about it, right? You can't just like throw out a random up air. This guy was like, I realized midway through just the endless slaughter of games that he was like calling out which direction I was SDIing in, because I typically just SDI'd in the same direction each time. So I adapted, right? Like I started doing it. And then all of a sudden he started mixing me up. He literally started mixing me. And like, I've practiced this so many times. I know when I miss it and I know when I'm not hitting it. And this guy was like actively mixing me up within that area of the game. And just continuously destroying me, and it was one of the most demoralizing experiences I've ever had.
Next
And-
to losing the Atriarch.
No, I didn't play Atriarch in tournament. Losing to Atriarch in friendlies and then beating him with Edwin Seeking is next to that.
Can we just take a step back and talk about how funny it is that the most demoralizing experience for Edwin is getting hit by up throw up air against Fox, and not being able to get out?
He was like calling me out on my SEI.
Can you imagine repeatedly getting hit with a bread and butter combo? Oh my goodness.
So I don't know if you guys saw, but Pika is in the chat and he says we are crazy and that AbsentPage will. Oh no, that was never mind. Bananas is definitely going to be top 20. I thought he said AbsentPage.
All
I
right.
was about to say.
But with that lovely story, do you guys want to transition to the melee stats speed round?
Yeah, I'm game.
All right, so Ambi is the defending champ from last week, so with the first question, you're going to start first. We're going to be going Ambi, Edwin, K on the first one. I actually have the orders set up this time, though I don't screw it up. The first question, also, if you guys aren't familiar, it's 5 quick questions. I give out points. Whoever wins gets a minute at the end to do whatever they want. Ambi, you have your new video out, so if you win again, Ambi, you have something else to play. So, without further ado, Ambi, you're up first. Very simple, straightforward question. What was Summit 7's best set and why?
I mean, it's definitely Bananas Mewtwo King. If you want like actual set, it's probably KJH versus Shizwas. But if you're talking about like what was the best set, it was definitely Mewtwo King repeatedly doing nothing, and then Bananas wave dash forward, down smashing him for like 6 minutes and winning the set 3-0. I really don't even know how I could say anything else in response to this, because it's just like if you haven't watched the set, I'm willing to concede the point. Just go watch it. It's so funny. Oh, it's so good. Okay, just go watch it.
I mean, I don't know. You could have just said AMSA plug, because that turned from a set that I didn't care about to a set I really cared about. So anyway. Go on.
Yeah, Kay, do you have anything else for your answer?
Yeah, AMSA versus fucking Plug.
All right.
I'm just so fucking vindicated.
Edwin?
All right, I'm gonna give an actual answer. I think Hungrybox versus Zane is it because their sets in the second half of the year, like Shine and Beyond, have shown that this is not like some kind of one-time thing where he beats him at Shine and then just never beats him again and gets destroyed. These guys have a legit rivalry, and they represent two different things. It represents like an old guardian of the past, the guy that everyone wants to see lose as the world number 1. And the second thing is that it shows this like rising star who is playing a character that is not Fox and continuously bringing the number 1 player in the world to the brink. And it is really exciting to see the dynamic of this young versus old rivalry. And I really can't wait to see more of it in 2019.
Everybody is extremely shocked with Edwin's answer to this question.
So I
Zane lost, so
yeah.
I enjoyed Edwin's answer, and I don't want to have the rich get richer on this Bananas train. So Edwin gets the point for round 1.
I like I said, I'm willing to concede the point. Just go watch it.
All right. Question number 2: who will be the most overrated Ices player on the 2018 end of year rankings? Edwin, you're up first. Most overrated Ices player. And K, you're second, and B, you're third.
We've seen this in years past where people put Ice Climbers players with a few like good wins, but not that much attendance, like very highly in rankings. I would not be surprised if a few of the sort of longtime legacy voters or people that like don't necessarily like people look at the data, but I think people might put Nintendo a little highly. Like he'll probably barely meet the activity requirements and get ranked above people that attended a lot more and were more consistent. That's my pick.
All right. Kay, who do you think?
Easily Bananas. And I'm not saying that Bananas is bad, but and he's definitely going to be top 20. And Bananas will definitely be ranked top 20. But my fear is that based on how recent Summit was, that people are going to rank Bananas even higher than that. And I think where Bananas is that he's pretty close to Army right now. But just based on Summit alone, people are going to be using recency bias hella hard. And he's going to be like 11, 12. People are going to be angry. not.
I don't know. Do
11.
you see that fiction poll? See that fiction poll?
That
I think
fiction
people are
poll.
I think people will be reasonable about bananas.
Because like that's what we think now, and hopefully people are. Because like I've been pleasantly surprised about how some people are with recency bias, but there are definitely going to be people who are going to be very upset that we're not going to put him here or there. And like my other gut answer would be kind of like Sharkz, because I think he has kind of like polarizing wins losses, but he's going to definitely be in that tier where everybody is pretty much going to be overrated and underrated. So I'm not really like, I feel like that's kind of a cheat answer.
All right,
So.
Ambi?
I think that bananas is an interesting answer, but I think that like he's actually good. So like I think at most he'll get overrated maybe 3 or 4 spots. I will say that like with SSBM rank and MPGR and all this ranking shit, there's just one constant factor every year, and that's some small percentage of the balloteers who rank
Shootout. He's gonna say Shootout.
So I think that people are just gonna be like, Shootout's top 40, Shootout's so good. Like there's gonna be like 4 panelists that put him like number 20 because they think he's really good.
We only have Europe to blame. We have Europe to blame.
Shootout was literally
all the European panelists.
First half of the year.
All the European panelists are gonna put him really high.
He was a running gag.
Yeah,
People
among
make fun
us,
of him because he wasn't top 50.
We can't go
There's
through one.
no chance that
Can we
Shootout.
go through like one podcast without like putting Europe on blast?
Dude, it's gotta be Shootout.
You think Shootout's gonna get overrated? He didn't make the top 50 the first half of the year.
Read the comments.
That's despite the people. That's despite the people that voted him favorably.
Dude, you're literally telling me that he's gonna be less overrated than Nintendo and bananas? Like Nintendo.
Okay.
No, dude. Bananas is actually
all right.
Nintendo's
All right.
be overrated.
All right. I was going to give Kay the point because I liked his insightful answer, but because of how mad Edwin got from Ambi's answer, I'm giving the point to Ambi.
This is so bullshit. Like, Edwin gave a
such a dumb
speech.
I'm the judge now, bitch.
Speech about Hungry Box Martha, and then he gives this fucking answer of this
Yeah,
bullshit.
and also this question was meant to be bait to say Chudette, so I wasn't going to give it to you, Ambi, but...
I knew it. I fucking knew
Oh, it was totally meant. All right. So question number 4, Ambi. Oh wait, no wait. Did I skip a question? Oh, 3. Okay, yeah. Question number 3. And it'll be Kay, Edwin, Ambi. This one's going back to a little bit normal too. Will someone break into the top 6 next year, and who will it be? Do you think
top 6?
Top 6, like the 6, not gods or whatever the 6 are now.
I mean, if I had to choose one person, it'd definitely be Zane. I don't really think, because here's the thing, like I think Zane is I would question putting Zane higher than like Wizrobe or some of the other players at the moment. I think my gut would kind of put him maybe slightly above or slightly below Wizrobe, but I have more faith in Zane defeating like any of the top 6 than like Wizrobe has beating Mango combined. I just don't think Wizrobe is ever fucking beating Mango. And then, like, just based on that alone, I think he's more likely than pretty much anybody, besides maybe Amsa, but his location kind of hurts him a bit, so it's hard to say for sure. If there's any counter argument for Zane being top 6, it's that Axe exists.
All right.
Or maybe Amsa, because Zane and Amsa like never happened. So I actually completely forgot about that too.
All right, Ambi, you're up.
So I think it'd be really ridiculous to say that anyone other than Zane would make it into the top 6, because if it's anyone like Zane, like if anyone gave like an actual weird answer that like wasn't Zane or maybe Wizrobe, they would have to have the most absurd year. Because I think if you look at Zane's results, he had like a really, really phenomenal year, and like the question of whether or not he's better than Mango is still like a big thing, which even I would say probably not. I do think that Zane's record against Amsa doesn't really hurt him that bad, because Amsa doesn't really go to a whole lot of things anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that him making top 8s consistently in 2019 would be very, very feasible. I honestly think the weird thing about Zane is that he's sort of effectively already top 6 in my head. He just like, he loses so often to players that aren't top 6 that like he's not top 6. And I think that that's like definitely the easiest problem of everyone above him to solve, because I think that like Mango's problems are a lot more difficult to solve. I think that like Plup's problems are a little bit interesting because they're sort of like on and off and like weird and like depend on how he's feeling that day. You know?
Armada retiring.
Okay,
All
can I
right,
give my
yep.
answer, or you guys can keep going on this?
All right,
I got one
go ahead,
word.
Ambi.
PPMD. That's it. He'll be back. He plays Falco. He'll come back. He'll beat Wizrobe. He'll beat Zane in the Marth Ditto. He'll find a way to get good against Hungrybox. And if you're an actual Falco player, you'll pick PPMD.
He's trying to do the thing that I did with Banana Beat King and say something stupid and ridiculous, but he's wrong and I was right. And he's trying to be like, oh, Ambi got the point by doing this ridiculous thing.
This guy is one of the 5.
You're just trying to sell out to Fairfax. This is exactly you are selling out to Fairfax.
He's listening to this podcast, so I'm just saying, like.
I'm gonna give KB the point. Ambi and K kind of give the same argument, but K went first, so I think you get the benefit of the doubt on that.
I still think I should have gotten the last point. I answered so fast.
You know, you had a good. You would have had it. It was so close. Okay, quick. Okay, this next question, Ambi has a bit of advantage, so he'll go first. Who wins in a fist fight, SFAT or fiction? Ambi, you're up first.
So this is a really interesting question, and I think that it's a real toss up because I think SFAT works out, right? SFAT definitely has a deadlift that starts with a 2 and is 3 digits long. But he's also big manlet energy, right? So he might get outranged by fiction, who definitely has he's got longer arms. He's more of an anime character, you know what I'm saying? He definitely try to, and like he'll get like punched out and he'll stand up and like be like, I'm still standing, and then like fighting, and then oh my god, it'll be so good. Gotta get these two in the octagon ASAP. It would be so good. It would be so much more exciting than watching the two like drift away near each other and toss over and over. Oh my god. Please make it happen.
Oh god.
Summit. Be on the summit. Get on this.
Edwin, you're up.
So,
Edwin. Are you gonna even...
I think
clock is ticking on your points.
I think this is a new low for speedrun questions.
Are you kidding me? This is the best question.
Yeah. I'm extremely disappointed with what this has become. I'm gonna go with SFAT because he goes to the gym, and as far as I can tell, I do not think fiction is as strong as SFAT or as fit as SFAT.
All right. Okay, what you got?
So this is an interesting question to me because I also would put SFAT, but like fiction is the type of person who I could see learning Aikido, like just in his spare time, and I feel like any like martial arts that I learned, especially on concrete ground, could change the factor entirely. The problem is, I could also.
Dude, SFAT is so much stronger and faster. SFAT does like yoga. He does like deadlifts. He does like running. SFAT, my man is doing like yoga in the morning, lifting in the afternoon.
You wasted your time, Edwin. You're done. This is K's time.
Weight classes lower than fiction.
Aikido is specifically designed to be more effective against people who are heavier than you are. So I don't know. You might be underestimating fiction in this conversation. I don't know.
Do you know if he's trained in it?
We don't know, but fiction would totally be that person. Fiction would totally pull that out of his pocket, and you wouldn't know until it's too late. He has that X factor, and you don't know. Have you seen his Twitter? He would totally do Aikido.
SFAT would get beat up by bananas. You watched the skit? He couldn't even hit him back.
All right. Ambi had an unfair advantage coming into this, so I'm going to give it to K because his answer was also great.
Bullshit.
The drift back nair comment, so gold. Yeah, you had an unfair advantage, but you put it up. Okay.
Yeah, I was biased against. I should have got that point a few rounds ago.
Final one, Edwin, you get to start. Which of the melee gods, like the traditionally considered the melee gods, would you most want to join you at your family's Thanksgiving table? That's a tough question, so I'll give you a little bit of extra time.
You know?
Yeah?
I kind of... Can I tell you who it's not?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
It's definitely not Hungrybox, right? Like,
Yes.
I'm not trying to like be delivered a Thanksgiving sermon and like somehow get Twitch chat referenced in it. You know, like, if I had to actually pick an answer, it would be Mango. He'd get along with everyone. I feel like Mango and my dad would get along really well, and I don't know why. It's just the genuineness of him. I think I would go with him. definitely. Armada's too boring. I wouldn't pick Armada, and
Right.
everyone else is too combative or like strangely standoffish.
All right, Kay, what you got?
So, are we including Plup into this, or just like?
Yeah, sure, why not?
So I'd probably pick either Plup or Leffen. If I had to pick one, I'd pick Plup, just because I think he's the type of guy who would not like he would lighten up the atmosphere. If Armada was at the same dinner table as my parents, my parents would probably ask him like what college he went to. I don't think I want that. So
Armada's like the best. He has a career. Like
no, it's good. But I just don't want the conversation to gravitate towards Asian stereotypes about what questions they ask their guests. Whereas Plup would be like, oh man, like tell jokes and stuff. Everybody would be happy. It would be great. Plus, like, it's obviously not Hungry Box. I don't want to be lectured by like why Republicans are bad at the end of Thanksgiving dinner.
All right, Ambi, closing it off.
Ambi has a smirk on his face, and I'm about to.
Oh, no.
Wait. I can't wait.
I'm trying to see Armada wasted as fuck. He's gonna drink all the sangria, and he's gonna just start ranting. So I'm just gonna leave this mental image and say Armada is my pick.
Did you see him down that beer? I think
It's
that
gonna,
is a good answer.
imagine that, but instead of a pitcher of beer, it's like an entire thing of like wine with fruit in it, and him just like.
At a family, I don't know what your
Dude.
family Thanksgiving is like.
Probably more fun than yours, Edwin.
I don't want to.
I agree. It's probably more fun than mine too.
Another house. I'm gonna be spending Thanksgiving in 2 different houses, bitch. All right.
I think I'm gonna give that last point to Ambi, so that means we're tied 2-2, with Edwin pulling up the bat. So, Edwin, who do you think performed better, Kay or Ambi? You get to pick the winner.
This is bullshit. He's definitely gonna pick
You get the power back, Edwin.
You stole a point from me.
You get the power back.
Was diss him the whole time.
Who deserves it?
I think I want to pick
Oh my fucking god, Edwin.
Ambi Sinister.
Oh, look at that.
Fucking kill you.
And the reason I want to pick Ambi Sinister is because the Ambi, like, if someone can go back and clip Ambi miming Armada, just like...
I demand a bonus question. This is so fucking horseshit.
Sorry.
Just,
New tiebreaker rules, baby.
I can't just Armada with the, like... Can you do it again, please? I just
I'm
want
not doing it again.
I'll go back in the
You
VOD.
didn't win the speed round. You don't get to decide what I do.
Ouch.
After he gives you the victory, you just trash his entire life.
Wow.
Oh,
Wow, fuck outta
Jesus.
here, dude. This is literally the worst week of my life, dog.
All right. Do you want to call your fiance in and say that again?
With my minute, I will say congratulations to Edwin for having the best week of his life. I'm very proud of him. He did great. He's doing wonderful. I'm very proud of him. And I'm sure he'll be very happy in the future. You did great, dude. You're amazing.
Oh.
That's all I wanted to say with my minute, but you had to shit on me. But I'm gonna stick to it because you're my friend, and I'm going to take the high road here for once.
I actually fucking hate all this. I actually fucking hate it, like, with every fiber of my being.
Oh, God bless. So before we start a brawl within Melee Stats, do we want to move on to the final topic? Edwin, I still have no idea what you're going for with this, so I want you to take the helm here. We're looking back at 2018, our favorite things. Is that kind of what you're aiming to do?
Yeah, well, we're in the Thanksgiving holiday spirit here, so I kind of wanted us to go around and talk about the things that we're thankful for as they pertain in Melee. So, does anyone want to start first, or can I get started here?
Go ahead,
Please
Edwin.
The thing I am grateful for most in Melee is that we got to see Armada's last set be his greatest set. I think the Mewtwo King versus Armada Grand Finals, like, it will be remembered. We're extremely lucky that we saw that, because if you like, not only was the quality of the set like extremely high, but just I can't imagine what was going through Armada's head during that set, you know? And just like the quality of play, the ebb and flow of it, the ups, the like specific moments, like both great play from both sides, like adaptations, not like entirely clean play, but just like bursts of like amazing play throughout the set, as well as adaptations on top of adaptations. And it's a really fitting like end to his career, I think, especially in like a year where so much of Melee has changed, like with the rise of Zane and Wizrobe and like people beating gods and like the rise of like the mid-level of Melee being bigger than ever before. It's just like very poetic that the best set of the year, in my opinion at least, is between these two like old giants of the game, like playing the best they've ever played, and one of them like basically playing to finish his career. And I think there's beauty in that.
All right, can I go next?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So unlike Edwin, I'm not thankful that Armada is retiring. What I am thankful for is that Mago finally is angry about losing. That I think is a really good omen. Seeing him lose to Hungrybox and then get really upset on Twitter, it's a good sign. And I think that top 64 at tournaments is more exciting than it's ever been before. I think that like I talk a lot with this about people, but I think that if you only watch top 8 of tournaments, Melee is like in sort of a dark period right now where the top 8s are really boring and really predictable and not that exciting. But I think if you follow like top 32, top 64 at tournaments, it's really sick. And I think that like the really exciting parts of Melee are getting more and more accessible to more people. And like literally random people that you've never heard of will just be so incredible at the game. And like you'll watch a set between two people that like two commentators obviously don't know anything about, and like they'll be playing really high level games, and it's really exciting. And I think that the game is like healthier than it's ever been before, despite the entrance numbers being a little bit lower, just in terms of how exciting the game is right now. So there's that. Probably how I would answer that.
Kay, do you want to go or should I jump it?
I am thankful for the fact that I went to Big House this year and had a good time. I got to meet some good old homies, and I got to meet a lot of people. And since I only get to go to one major year, going to stuff like that, that is always like one of the really special experiences for me, especially since I live in like the middle of nowhere, no matter where I go. Like Ithaca, like upstate New York, South Korea. It's fun. It's cool that I actually get to go into a room and not see like 3 setups. And I'm also thankful for the fact that Axe called out our Smash Bros. That was also pretty satisfying.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a really subtle jab, but he was just like, he just was like, I'm glad that Summit happened and you enjoyed all the content that we put up on our Smash Bros. That was Melee, but it'll probably just be Ultimate fan art in like 10 minutes. Yeah. And then people were salty in the comments, and that is like the most like, that's like the most hateful jab I've ever seen Axe make at anything. So that was just like really satisfying.
What about hateful jabs toward like foxes when they miss the tech?
All right.
I've
had just about enough of this. This is why you can't lose these speed rounds.
Jesus.
I got one on the board.
Tilted.
Yeah. If I had to say,
I'm gonna be so tilted.
Oh, yeah.
When like next week we're just gonna hear, oh, the winner of last week, the defending title, the 2-time week title is Ambi, when it was so.
We gotta get stock and wheat on here.
I'm like Hungrybox, dude. I'm the greatest of all time at this game.
Oh god.
No, come on, too soon.
Started lecturing Edwin about how great his week was.
Okay, I'm thankful for. I'm going to be super self-centered with this because this has been my first like full year of making Melee content. Just how supportive everyone has been. All supportive you guys, Melee Stats has been. Just how, even when I have like a misstep or something, when I fuck up somewhere, like people are giving me constructive criticism. They're not like completely bashing me or saying I make garbage content on Twitter. No one would ever do that when I make a bad video. But no, I really do appreciate like how much positive feedback and how much everyone has been there for me. Like both, yeah, like I'm saying, both you guys and Melee Stats and like the community as a whole. And how accepting everyone has been, even though I kind of just like came out of nowhere. But so I'm just thankful for how supportive everyone's been. Yeah.
Snaps.
So you guys want to do chat Q&A?
Well,
Sure.
first I want to gauge interest in this.
Uh-huh.
Do you guys want to do a turkeys of the year? Where we
No.
name the things that we're least grateful for? I just had this idea in my
No,
mind.
no. We're gonna get
I feel like that'll
You can't do this while I'm on the show.
Yeah, it's just gonna
This is
get-
fine. I'm gonna be so unfiltered if we do this. It's
I
gonna
just-
be terrible.
it's gonna get really hateful.
I
If
just
you
remembered that.
want this content, please check us out on patreon.com/melee stats and catch us on our Patreon only Discord where
We just talk
where
shit.
I will tell everyone what my least favorite things of the year have been.
We spread kindness, love, not
Well,
like what
turkeys
we're
could-
grateful for. We are grateful for hacks. We are grateful to Hungry Dogs. We are
Okay,
grateful.
So the reason I came up with the turkeys idea is because I literally just remembered that when I used to read Sports Illustrated as a kid, they used to run a column called the Turkeys of the Year, which featured all like the athletes and sports figures that did the dumbest stuff or just like got the worst press and just like celebrated their
I
bad
can't
years.
imagine how awful like a Darwin Awards for Melee would be. I just think literally every week I get to tweet about something stupid that someone did. And I think to pick out the dumbest thing anyone's done all year is just too big of a challenge.
I mean, yeah, if you had said this, like if you had prepped me up for this, I would have immediately like researched this, done this before the show, like,
Yeah,
looked it
no,
up on
it's
my
it's
phone while I was
okay.
in the car ride, because there's so much shit to sit through.
It'll be patron only. That's a good idea, Ambi.
Hmm.
Speaking of patrons, this just about concludes the show, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yep.
We've been
Well,
going for
Q&A,
about
are
an
we doing
hour.
Q&A or is that just
We'll do
like-
it after
That's
everything.
We'll do
post
it
show,
after
yeah.
we end the
Sure,
show.
all right.
It doesn't
So-
jig on the mod.
Shout out to Carlos A. Robles, David Shearer, Etost, Greg Schaefer, Jack Harmoning,
Shout out
Jason
to
Kelly, JM, Joey Danowitz, Matthew Biddle, Ozen Breton, Potato, Sean O'Connor, and Videotape. Thank you guys so much for your support. And just as an update, the compendium goals for the Melee Stats podcast, I'm still working on the scouting reports, and we're working on just figuring out a time to get the special guests ready. The other scouting report should be out sometime this week if I can get it done tomorrow night. I've already sent half of it for review with one of the sources I'm working with for the story. So thank you guys a ton for your support. It's been great.
Yeah. And that about does it for the second episode of the second season of the Melee Stats podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed our very aggressive infighting during that speed round. We still all do love each other, mostly. But okay.
Love is a strong word.
I still fucking hate you guys. It's fucking weird, all you fucks.
And with that, we will see you guys next time.